hoy a las 3 de la tarde tenemos el gusto de presentarles nuestra escuela Whistler Adventure School. Es una escuela muy interesante, sobre todo para aquellos que les gusta mucho la aventura, les gusta mucho el aire libre, que a veces cuando pensamos en Canadá, digo, obviamente Canadá tiene sus grandes ciudades como Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, pero pues lo que más tiene Canadá, ante nada, es espacio, ¿no? Y el espacio que tiene es pues toda esa naturaleza que tiene, toda esa experiencia al aire libre. Y la gran ventaja es que Whistler es seguramente, si les gustan el turismo de aventura, si les gusta la bici de montaña, esquiar, cualquier deporte o actividad de este estilo, seguramente que han escuchado de este lugar, que se encuentra muy cerca de Vancouver. Y la gran ventaja que tenemos con Whistler Adventure School es que les da la oportunidad de estudiar y trabajar durante su estadía en Canadá. Y ahorita que platicamos con nuestra escuela, con Shelly, nos va a hablar un poco de los requisitos, qué necesitamos para estudiar en Whistler, cómo está ahorita la situación del COVID, cómo se están planeando los cursos futuros. Entonces, me da mucho gusto dar la bienvenida el día de hoy a Shelly Quinn, que es representante de nuestra escuela Whistler Adventure School.
Hola a todos.
Que se conecte.
Thank you, Eduardo, for the introduction. I'm going to be speaking in English, so if anyone listening needs translating into Spanish, please type into the private chat and Eduardo can translate what I'm saying, but I will try to speak quite slowly for you. I'm going to start a little presentation and I'll be talking to you a bit more. As Eduardo said, Whistler Adventure School is very different from probably any school that you have heard about. We really focus on adventure, being outdoors, and living your fullest life here in Canada. So I'm going to start to share a little presentation with you. Just here.
Y aprovecho para platicarles nada más, aunque sea la entrevista en inglés, si gustan ya nos vamos a tomar ciertos espacios o ciertos momentos, ya para que yo les recapitule un poco en español qué es lo que nos está platicando Shelly. Pero digo, siéndoles honestos y directos, realmente para que ustedes puedan estudiar en Whistler Adventure School, ya deben de tener mínimo un inglés conversacional. Entonces, realmente, si ustedes no están listos para entender este nivel de inglés todavía, digo, también tenemos opciones para que se preparen en el inglés, pero sí es indispensable que ya puedan platicar en inglés, trabajar en inglés, y no es un nivel avanzado como si fuera una universidad, una maestría, pero sí es un buen nivel de inglés que necesitan tener. Entonces, también vamos a aprovechar esta ocasión para que ustedes practiquen un poco el inglés que tienen, y así nos podemos estar dando cuenta más o menos qué tan listos están para poder entender un programa de este estilo, o con todo gusto nosotros darles opciones para seguir preparándose en el inglés y ya luego hacer su plan de estudiar en Whistler Adventure School. Okay? Entonces, I'll leave you with Shelly then. She's going to talk to us about it.
Great, thank you. So as Eduardo said, all of our programs are conducted in English and all of our students have to have a minimum of intermediate level English. So not as high a level as you would need to go to a university in Canada, but you need to, have a good conversational level of English. And I'm going to start by sharing a few photos. So as you can see by this photo, we're really big about the outdoors here in Whistler. This student is in class right now in one of our guide training programs, which I will tell you a little bit more about. And here's another photo of Whistler in the wintertime. So we have 4 distinct seasons in Whistler. It is not snowy all year round. It is only snowy in the winter time, and in the summer we have beautiful warm weather. Eduardo, can you confirm? Can you see my screen okay? It's clear?
Yeah, it looks okay. I can see it says why choose Whistler Adventure School.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to just go through a few reasons why you might be interested in Whistler Adventure School. One very important thing is that we are an accredited institution. So you can travel from Mexico with a study permit to come into Canada and study at the Adventure School. All of the study permits with the Adventure School are study with work permission. So that means all of our students are allowed to work while while they are here studying with us. And we are located in beautiful Whistler, British Columbia. This is about 1.5 hours north of Vancouver. So students will fly into Vancouver, and then it's a 1.5 hour drive to get to Whistler. And Whistler is a beautiful year-round resort community. The real focus for our programs, we're all about a combination. So it's about life. You're going to study, you're going to work, and you're going to play. All of these things, super important. Okay. We talk about taking your passions and turning them into your profession. So this means that you might have an interest in photography or an interest in a sport. We are trying to take that interest, let you develop that further, and then be able to potentially go out and work. And
yeah, exactly. Sorry for interrupting you. Taking that point, something that's very important, or I don't know if you were going to mention it right now, is that it doesn't really matter what background you have, right?
Yeah, exactly. So really, our mandatory is that you're 18 years old or older, and I'll go in a little bit about the average age and so on about our students, and that you have that English level. Some of our students are already very passionate bikers or climbers or skiers, but many just want to live this beautiful Canadian lifestyle in a safe, outdoor focused community. So really what's important is that you're open to living in a town that's surrounded by nature. So that's okay. So all of our classes, and this has become even more important, I think, since COVID, is we are still holding all of our classes, and our classes are in person, but they're very small. So right now they're between 6 people and 9 people per class. And at the moment, all of our students here in Whistler are eligible to get the COVID vaccine, which is happening this week and next week. So every student, staff, and community member in Whistler is getting the COVID vaccination. This is just an added benefit for our students to know that they'll be protected while they're here. But either way, we have a very strict safety protocol so that everyone stays safe. But it's great because you get to come into the school and learn in person with our instructors. We're very focused on hands-on learning. I don't know, how do you say that, Eduardo, in Spanish, hands-on learning?
Hands-on learning would be like pues aprender de manera práctica.
Sí.
O sea, lo que dice Shally es muy importante, que el tipo de curso que van a tener, la actividad que van a hacer allá en Whistler, o sea, no es algo teórico, es algo casi prácticamente 100% práctico muchas veces. Entonces sí, son cosas que van a hacer ustedes en persona, como nos platicaba, digo, aprovechando ahorita, retomando un poco lo que nos ha platicado Shally hasta el momento. Whistler Adventure School, pues es una escuela que está acreditada por el gobierno de Canadá, de British Columbia. Es un lugar que está más, o bueno, esta escuela está más diseñada para que puedas estudiar, trabajar y pues divertirte o vivir el aire libre, una experiencia de aventura, que lo dice el propio nombre de la escuela. Y ahorita aún con la situación del COVID, la ventaja que tenemos es que, y de hecho esta semana, creo que nos decía Shally, ya empezó la vacunación COVID ahí en Whistler. Entonces, todos sus estudiantes se van a vacunar en estos días. Entonces, es una gran ventaja, digo, si lo comparamos contra México, que realmente un chavo de 19, 20, 25 años, pues no sabemos cuándo se va a poder vacunar aquí en México. Y es algo que en Whistler ya está sucediendo, y es algo que nos habla mucho también de pues, la situación sanitaria que puede haber allá en Canadá, comparada aquí en México. Entonces son cursos muy pequeños, son como de 6, más o menos nos decías, ¿verdad? Como de 6 estudiantes por grupo. Y pues una ventaja es que, como nos dice ella, realmente esto es para que puedas también directamente trabajar y aplicar lo que aprendes dentro del curso. Entonces es algo muy práctico.
Exactly. So sorry to go back to that. So really, as Eduardo highlighted, we're about practicing what you learn, not sitting in a classroom. So our programs really are perfect, I always say, for 2 types of students. Many of our students have already completed some kind of postgraduate study at home. Maybe they've already gone to university, or they've already been in the workforce, and they're looking for a change. a change of lifestyle, especially after this time of COVID. It's just so nice to be able to go somewhere new and learn new skills. So we're all about opening this great lifestyle up and giving students that opportunity to pursue an education in a different way. So I'm going to just be showing more photos. Just so you know, all of these photos were taken by our students in class because, you know, we study all different kinds of practical things. And I wanted to talk a little bit now about our nationality mix. So another thing that is very different about Whistler Adventure School is we have about 50% of our students from Canada, 50% international. So there's an amazing mix of people from all over the world who form our school. And the age diversity, sorry, go ahead, Eduardo.
All right. I was just going to ask you, is the nationality mix still more about the same with COVID? Is considering
if anything, we have a few more domestic, but we still, you know, with COVID, what we got were a lot of people who were already in Canada and applied for their student visas from within Canada. So it has stayed about the same. I would say about 50% Canadian, 50% international.
No, and that's great, especially because it's compared to a language school where we send most of our students, sometimes they'll get to interact with real average Canadians.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be in classes with Canadians, Americans, you know, and it's a really great for their language acquisition as well.
Yeah.
Because,
and you're right, the only English, they're not just going to encounter Canadians as the only English speakers. They might get Americans, Australians, New Zealanders.
And that's been very fortunate for our school because I know for some schools that are focused only on international students, it's been very difficult to survive during COVID. But Whistler Adventure School, really, our numbers haven't changed. We're doing more classes because they're smaller, but you know, we're still getting. So we were very fortunate that the way we operate has worked within COVID guidelines because we already have very small classes.
Exactly, and I think, right, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing it's also an advantage that since everything's outdoors, it makes a lot of the things easier.
It's not all outdoors, but a lot of it is outdoors, so it definitely makes things easier. And a little bit about the age of our students as well, because we take students from 18 and older, but as you can see from this chart, you know, 60% of our students are, I would say, between 23 and 35. So the average age is probably a little bit older than what you might get at your typical, you know, English school. Most of our students, as I mentioned, have already been in the workforce and they're looking for a change of lifestyle. And this is what we can offer.
Okay, perfect.
So we talk about our ideal student. And really, the ideal student is someone who does love nature because Whistler is not a big city. So, you know, if you're all about being in a big city with shopping malls and high-rise buildings, you know, perhaps Whistler isn't for you. But if you love nature, and what I can say is Whistler is an amazing community, very international, people from all over the world living here. Many people who are here do love the sports that are offered, but you don't have to be into the sports. You should just like enjoying nature when you're not in class.
Exactly. Yeah, that's something very important because, well, we have Enjoy Languages offices in many big cities like Monterrey, Guadalajara, Mexico City. So we might have students there that are looking to change their careers and to change the kind of city they live in.
I mean, I can tell you this photo right here is one of our students from Mexico, Alan, and he took our media marketing manager program, and this is him in class taking photos up on the mountain. So I'll go into more detail, but students, you don't have to have grown up in a mountain environment to embrace this change. And we have a few students studying with us now from Mexico who are just loving the fact that they can be outdoors and be safe. And throughout COVID, we haven't had lockdowns and things. We've been able to always go outside, go biking, go for a walk, go for a hike.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk a little bit now, Eduardo, about some of our programs. And I would say one of our most popular programs that really attracts a lot of people from all different areas is our marketing and media manager. And this is a 1-year program, and the courses that you study are listed here. So students are going to be studying photography, photo editing, videography, and video editing. Event planning, which has changed right now. Like what we can do right now, we're learning how to do events online. And we make sure that our curriculum is updated. So, you know, our students right now are learning about all of these methods of having online events. And then hopefully we'll be going back to having some live events, you know, in the next year or two. You're studying internet marketing and social media and marketing strategy. So over the course of 1 year, students in this program will study each of these things over a 1-month period. Okay. So for example, they'll take their photography class, and they will be going to school 2 evenings a week and 1 full day. And during the full day, it's an excursion. So again, when you see pictures of our students outside, they're in class in an excursion, learning how to take photos outside.
Oh, that's great. And I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong as well, do they share these courses with other programs, with other students from other programs that have the same subject? Or is it just
No, so in the marketing and media, these are available in marketing and media and in design and innovation. So those are the two that include these courses. Really, if we have students who are interested in these courses, but perhaps they're not available to travel for a full year, they can do it in 6 months, and that is called design and innovation. And then they would choose any 4 programs, any 4 courses.
So they can tailor it as well as if they want.
Exactly. And each of these courses is offered 2 or 3 or right now even 4 times per year. So students can start almost every month. So whatever, they don't have to do all of the courses in order. So they could start in May, and in May we have event planning. So they could start with event planning as their first course. So you do not have to do the courses in order. We tailor make the program for when the student is arriving, and then we schedule the courses.
Excellent.
Okay. There's also a co-op work experience. So in this, the students are going to get relevant work experience related to the course. So students on this program will get a study permit plus a co-op work permit. And the important thing is, with the study permit, every student that comes to us with a study permit has work allowance. So you're allowed to work on that study permit, and then they do additional work hours for the co-op.
Excellent. And sorry to interrupt you. Can you tell us a little bit about what's the experience been like with with finding jobs, work right now during this COVID crisis?
Yeah, so it's definitely Whistler up until 10 days ago was fully open. We had the mountain open, all restaurants, all shops. We just got the third wave, which seems to have hit some of the larger businesses the most. So the largest business in town, which is Whistler Blackcomb, the mountain, did close early, 3 weeks early, but they will be opening for summer again. And all of our restaurants are still open, all of the shops. We still have a lot of jobs available.
Okay.
The difference is for the co-op jobs, it's become a little bit more challenging, but we're still managing to help our students with, to get in touch with employers who are offering specific training.
Okay, that's right. I was asking you as well, because sometimes we have students, especially students that want to travel right now. Yeah. Sometimes they ask us, how difficult is it right now? Do we recommend going right now? Are they going to have a hard time? Should they wait? Should they not wait? Especially that's what interests them.
I would say one of the biggest challenges is getting the permits, getting the biometrics. I know that that's something that you guys at Enjoy are helping the students with. So it's super important to work with your agency, work with Eduardo or whichever Enjoy agency, because they're going to help you through that process. For sure, traveling is more complicated and a bit more expensive right now than in normal times. Students do have to do a quarantine when they arrive. And what I can do, I'll show you where you can look on our website, but there, it's all there. But saying that, we have students still arriving every week. They have to do the quarantine in Vancouver. Once they've done that 14 days, then they come up to Whistler. They can start work and start their classes.
Exactly. And they start the classes once they're in Whistler, right? They don't take anything from Vancouver.
That's correct. We don't do anything online. It's when they start.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Yeah, I was asking you that especially because that's what was something very important that our students or anyone that's potentially interested in this kind of course needs to know, that you can travel right now. There's a way to do it. We can help you as an agency do everything you need to do, get your visa, biometrics, travel, quarantine. We help you out with everything. But it's just important for you to know that you need to plan it with more time than you used to need to plan this. You need to add at least, I don't know what your experience has been, but at least to add another 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah, I would say right now, planning 4 months in advance minimum. Exactly. In more normal times, it was less than that, and it's the biometrics in Mexico that's the most challenging right now, but I know that Enjoy have some workarounds because there's no biometrics offices open in Mexico. So that has been a challenge, but it's great to hear. I was speaking with some of your agents and that you have some workarounds for students to be able to get the biometrics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we give them tips, and it's a situation that's changing all the time. So we always keep them up to date, and we can tell them, and if you're applying at this moment, it's like this, because it changes every week, sometimes every month. Yeah. So we're up to date. Sometimes things change, but we're expecting, right? I don't know what your perspective is on this, but we're expecting it to be a little less stricter as the months go by. I think if we haven't reached the peak, we're about to reach the peak of restrictions, and then we're going to go back.
Yeah, I have that feeling. I mean, we're all just waiting for things to go back to normal. But it is good to know that you can travel now. It just, it is an added expense because you have to do the quarantine on top. But when you're coming for a whole year, it isn't,
doesn't make much of a difference. Yeah,
you're probably not going to come to Canada for like a 1 month language course and have to do a 2 week quarantine. But it's worth it. So I'll go back a little bit more now about our program. So I just discussed in detail about our marketing and media manager program. Our other 1 year course, we also have a mountain sports technician. I don't go into too much detail about this because it's more specifically for people who really are into mountain sports, both winter and summer. So skiing and biking. And I know in Mexico, you don't have a lot of ski resorts or any. So
none at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think the marketing and media manager for people from Mexico might be more interesting. We also have our adventure tourism winter program, which can be taken either over a full year or in a 6-month accelerated program. Details of all of these are on our website. The adventure tourism winter, again, I recommend it for people who have already spent some time in winter because it is all focused on being outdoors in the winter. So if you're from Mexico and you've never experienced a winter, I would go for something like marketing and media or one of our summer programs as opposed to the winter.
Yeah, and talking about, I'm sorry if I interrupted. Is there any season you recommend most, or it depends a lot on what you want to do, what kind of program you want to study?
Yeah, it totally depends. I mean, a lot of people come to Whistler because it's very well known as a winter destination for skiing and snowboarding. And then on the flip side, a lot of people come here in the summer for mountain biking, climbing, hiking, rafting. I mean, Whistler is surrounded by beautiful mountain hikes. We have 5 beautiful freshwater lakes right here in Whistler. So, I mean, I can say, and a lot of people probably would agree, that I came for winter and I stayed for summer. That's what we say, because the summers are so beautiful here. We have long days, beautiful temperatures. It's actually warmer in Whistler in the summer than in Vancouver. So people think Whistler is always colder. In the summer, it's warmer than Vancouver. So it's kind of different.
And And is it as rainy or it's a little less rainy?
No, we get much less rain. So Whistler does not get very much, like not nearly as much rain as Vancouver, because in the winter, because we're higher, what falls as rain in Vancouver is snow here in Whistler, which we want because we go skiing. And in the summer, we have the mountains around us and we're not right on the ocean, so we don't get as much rain. It's warmer, usually by about 5 or 6 degrees warmer than Vancouver.
Okay, so they can expect, or at least they're going to get weather, but that's more like Mexico during the summer.
In the summer, our average temperatures in the daytime would be between 23 and 30 degrees Celsius. And at night, they would probably go down to between like 15 and 20. So we have cool evenings and nice warm days.
Okay, yeah. So it would be kind of like the weather in Mexico City in the fall, more or less, if we were to compare. It's not that.
Yeah, probably similar to that.
Okay.
So going on to our 6-month course programs, as I mentioned, Design and Innovation is a 6-month where you can choose any course from within the Marketing and Media Manager or the Mountain Sport Technician. So you have 6 months and you will take 4 different courses, and it's kind of like a la carte. So you can choose the courses that you want to take. You would still get a study permit with work allowance with all of these 6-month programs. Okay. So for our winter 6-month program, we have our ski and snowboard guide training. This is for students who already know how to ski or snowboard, who want to learn more about going into the backcountry and learning how to be a guide. Okay. This bike guide training has become very popular. I know that mountain biking is a really fast growing sport. We have a few pro mountain bikers from Mexico who have taken our programs, who are signed up to take our programs. Super growing sport in a lot of regions in Mexico. This is a fantastic program where you can come for 6 months. Most people into this, they already need to know how to mountain bike. And you'll be getting first aid, your mountain bike instructor course, guiding, and a mechanic course. So you can work, bike, and learn more about biking in Whistler. This one is super popular. If anyone has questions, Eduardo, just let me know.
Yeah.
Or I guess I can switch over to this screen.
Yeah. None till now, but I'll let you know if we get any.
Okay. Maybe I'll just ask the group, does anyone have questions? Is anyone out there an avid biker or rock climber? Because these are all sports, I feel like the summer sports, there would be more people in Mexico that might resonate with that. Probably one of our most popular programs for students from Mexico would be the bike guide training, because if you bike, you probably have already heard about Whistler. Because if you watch YouTube and you watch biking videos, you're going to see a lot of biking videos from Whistler. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So let me carry on. So these are just a few more photos that we have. This is one of our guides in our ski and snowboard guide training, which is why you have to have a little bit of experience. I'll show a few more photos, and then maybe I'll share our brochure with you for a couple of minutes.
And I was going to ask you, talking about that, I'm guessing you need to be physically fit to a certain level, depending on these programs or which one you pick, right?
Oh, yeah. So for the guide training programs, you absolutely need to have some experience in the sport. But for our marketing and media manager and our mountain sport technician, you do not have to have any experience in the sport.
Okay. So it can be someone who, which I'm guessing I remember we talked about this once, that sometimes you get cases of people who were at a job for 3, 4, 5 years and they want to change careers. They want their gap year that they never had, for example. Yeah. Right? Because they started working right after college. So it's that kind of profile that is also having has an interest in these kinds of programs, especially because if you study something like digital marketing, it doesn't matter if you went to do it in Whistler, you went to do it in Toronto, in Vancouver. It actually might be even more of an advantage because you're in a small group. You get to do lots of activities outdoors. You get to do different things. So it'll help you lots with any future job, any future career, especially because
absolutely. And I mean, we have students in these programs who have already done university degrees in marketing, for example, or are already engineers, and they're coming for just a break or a change of focus, a change of lifestyle. Some might return back and go to their same profession. Some might decide, no, now I want to, I want to pursue something completely different. So that's why I said the majority of our students are between 24 and 35. So that's exactly that student just looking for a change, especially after COVID. The thought of, I can just get out of the city, come to a beautiful place, learn something new with like-minded people. It's an opportunity that people have to just explore something completely different.
Yeah, and that's what's happened with lots of our students, and I'm guessing lots of yours as well, that many were just waiting. They were saying, I'm going to do it next year, I'm going to do it the other year, and now you can't do it, or it's a lot harder than before. So it's a time to value these kinds of opportunities you can have, and especially to see that you can't just be waiting for time to go by for you to do it. You have to take advantage of it when you can.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say for people looking at signing up, now, again, it's always fingers crossed, but that in late 2021, early 2022, a lot of these arrival restrictions will have changed. But you can't apply too early. You could apply now for next year. The way the study permit works, it's just always better if you have an idea and you're making a plan and you're sitting, in your apartment thinking, I would love to do that. Start now with the process so that you're not in a big hurry to do it.
Yeah, and what they could do as well, and this is the experience we have with many of our programs, that if your English is not up to the level yet, well, you can take advantage of this time to put it up to the level once you've got this plan to go to Whistler, for example.
Absolutely. And then from this photo, we're hoping we have these events back again where students get a chance to, take part in different, and I mean, these photos aren't to scare people. Everyone isn't doing this. Some of these photos are specifically with our guide training program. So that isn't for everyone. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and share a different tab for a minute. Okay. So I'm going to go on to a different tab.
So if you'd like, while you look for the tab, just let me mention a little bit in Spanish. We're talking about just for a minute. Entonces ahorita les voy a platicar un poco de lo que estuvimos discutiendo, abordando ahorita con Shelly. Es toda la gran variedad de programas que tiene Whistler para ustedes. Y pues realmente, aunque quieran viajar en finales de 2021 hasta el 2022, realmente nunca se puede aplicar con demasiada anticipación. De hecho, es mejor a veces, porque eso nos ayuda mucho para los trámites de visa, que ahorita no son, tampoco tardan tanto, pero no tienen la misma velocidad que tenían antes. Si su nivel de inglés todavía no fuera el suficiente para uno de nuestros programas con Whistler, pues también podemos ver opciones para que se preparen, ya sea presencialmente o en línea, para ese nivel de inglés que les haga falta. Y también algo muy importante, que era lo que platicamos ahorita con Shelly, pues estos programas, por el promedio de edad que tienen, realmente el promedio de edad no es chavos que acaban de salir de la prepa, por ejemplo, sino que es más de 25 a 34 años de edad. Entonces es gente que ya estudió una carrera, a veces hasta un posgrado, ya han trabajado por un tiempo. Entonces tener este tipo de experiencia en Whistler les ayuda un poco como que a tomar un respiro de la carrera, o si están interesados en cambiar de área, dedicarse a otra cosa, es como que encontrarte con tu segunda vocación muchas veces, o tomarte ese año sabático, sabático entre comillas, porque pues realmente lo vas a aprovechar para algo que te va a servir. Y aunque el inglés ya lo tengas a un cierto nivel, pues es inevitable que con viajar con uno de estos programas vas a mejorar tu inglés por el hecho de estudiar en inglés, convivir con gente en inglés allá, trabajar en un lugar donde necesitas el inglés. Entonces realmente tu nivel de inglés de cuando viajas a cuando regresas, sobre todo por ejemplo si vas a un programa de un año, va a ser completamente distinto, y tú te vas a dar cuenta cuando regreses a México, busques trabajo en México, uno, que llevas esa experiencia laboral canadiense, que eso ayuda mucho, aunque no sea una experiencia laboral tal cual a lo que te vas a dedicar en México, ayuda mucho que sepan que has interactuado con gente de otros lugares, que sabes como que manejar esa diferencia de culturas, y también por la parte de que pues te ayuda mucho a nivel de que pues saben que si estudiaste en inglés, estuviste un año, pues realmente tu nivel va a ser mucho mejor que el que alguien que nada más ha estudiado inglés en la escuela, por ejemplo, porque digo, es algo que es muy obvio. Entonces, también esa es una ventaja de estos programas, que aparte de ayudarte esa experiencia de aventura, esa experiencia al aire libre, estar en un lugar tan bonito como Whistler, también te va a ayudar, pues, a que tu carrera futura tenga otra perspectiva. Y, pues, quién sabe, tal vez de este tiempo que estés en Canadá, pues hasta busques la meta de luego estudiar algún otro programa ya que tienes esa preparación para quedarte en Canadá, que esa es otra opción que tenemos muy interesante. Okay. Thank you, Shad.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just kind of sharing so that if people do want to learn more about the other programs, because I really just talked about the media, marketing and media manager, but on our website, for example, our bike guide training, I'm going to go to that right now. And it's just whistleradventureschool.com, or Eduardo or whoever you're dealing with at Enjoy can walk you through that. But there are requirements for the sport courses that you need to be able to participate in the sport. So if you've never ridden a mountain bike before, you're not going to choose the bike guide training. If you've never been skiing or snowboarding, you're not going to choose the ski and snowboard guide training, for example. But if those things, the students who do practice those sports, they're all outdoors. So these students in bike guide training, they're outside every day, like that they're in class, taking, learning how to do things on their bikes, which is pretty cool. And I mean, this girl here, she's from the United States, and she was already a lawyer when she came here. So, it's not just people who haven't been to school. It's people who have done all different things in the past.
Exactly. And that's an advantage that we were talking about a while ago, right? That you're not just going to interact with Canadians, you can interact with Americans, especially for those looking to improve their English level. Exactly.
I mean, we have here, when you go to our About WAS, you can look on the adventure blog, and this is a great place just to read. These are all things written by our students with pictures from our students that you can read about people's, different people's experiences. You can talk a little bit more, you can learn more about the school. You can access our brochure, the online brochure, which really shows all the information that you might want to see in, that you're going to see on the program.
Exactly. And most importantly, the videos as well, right? You can find the link there
so at the bottom here, there's a link to our YouTube videos, our Facebook, and our Instagram. And we have amazing students are always submitting photos from different courses, and we have some really great photos that you can access by following us on our Facebook or Instagram. And really, I think the pictures kind of say it all when you're looking at our different programs, because that's what it's all about, right? We talk about the student gap year, as Eduardo said. That's not different courses. It's just saying, it's a time that you can change your life, change the direction, whether you're just looking for a shift, a mind shift, you're tired of what you're doing. We are not a traditional school. So you're not coming to sit in a classroom for a year. You're coming to embrace this whole new lifestyle.
Exactly. And that's a very important thing, because we've all been on a mandatory gap year right now, in a sense.
Yeah.
COVID.
But
so it's
more boring. This is a more exciting gap year because you get to be outdoors learning with very like-minded people.
And that's important, right? Because many of your instructors, we would think that they're mostly Canadian, but I'm guessing you have other nationalities with your instructors, right?
Actually, when I think about it, all of our instructors are Canadians.
Okay.
But they're all specialists in what they teach. So, for example, our photography teacher is a professional photographer.
Okay.
Who just comes in and teaches photography. And then our photo editing is also a professional photographer who teaches the editing. So it's different that you don't get one teacher teaching you, 8 different courses. Each teacher has a perspective of working in the industry and real life experience. So it's not textbook learning. It's hands-on experiential learning.
Exactly, and especially from someone that, as you said, someone that's doing it right now professionally. It's not someone that did it years ago, someone that studied it at what time in college. It's somebody that does that for a living, we could say.
Exactly. So, and you know, to learn more about Whistler too, you know, we talk about Whistler as a town. So we have a small population, only 12,000 permanent residents, but we have up to 50,000 people coming in all the time. So it's a small town, but it's not like a typical small town. It's, you know what, it reminds me a little bit of like the Pueblo Mágico, you know, like when
San
you go
Miguel de Allende, something like that.
Yeah, like where there's people who have chosen to live here because it's a beautiful town and it's unique, and so people, especially now that they can work wherever they want, people are coming to live here from all over the world that realize, oh, I can work remotely. I'm going to live in this most beautiful place, and take advantage of that.
Yeah, digital nomads, we would say.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's like a Pueblo Mágico of Canada.
Exactly. And one thing that's very surprising, I think, I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I remember Whistler gets a lot more sunshine than we would think, right?
Yeah, in the summer we get beautiful weather. I mean, as I said, it's probably on average in the high 20s, and clear, clean air. You know, we really don't have any air pollution because we're
industry, no large population centers, nothing like that.
Yeah. You know, the largest population center is Vancouver, and it's a very spread out city along the coast. So, but it's only an hour and a half. So, you know, there's buses every day going back and forth from the city, so people that want to get a little fix of going to Vancouver can go to Vancouver.
Exactly. And talking about that, we have a question right now from someone who's asking us, in this current COVID situation, how are your students transporting themselves from Vancouver to Whistler?
Okay, so that's a good question. Right now, with our COVID protocol, and I can show you here when we go back to our homepage. So we have all the updates about traveling with the coronavirus. Students need to do their quarantine in Vancouver. So they don't travel to Whistler until they have done their 14-day quarantine. And we help with that. We'll work with your agency to talk about there's a 3-day government mandated quarantine, and then an 11-day quarantine that needs to be done in Vancouver. To get to that, you just take a taxi from the airport. It needs to be within 25 kilometers of the airport. Uber isn't as big in Canada as in Mexico yet, so we still use taxis the old-fashioned way. So you would take a taxi to the government quarantine, and then you would take a taxi, and that would probably be between $10 and $20 of taxi fare. Okay. Then when you're done your 14-day mandatory quarantine in Vancouver, then you could take a bus up to Whistler.
But do they take any special bus, or just a normal bus like any other Canadian?
There are buses that go 2 or 3 times a day.
Okay, especially because since they're out of quarantine, they can move around like anybody that lives over there.
Once you're out of quarantine, you're here just like any other, any other individual.
Exactly. They just have to get on the bus with their face masks or any
Yeah, I mean, there's the same requirements for wearing masks, for, everything as everyone would have, but there's no difference. So when it comes time to actually, book, at that time we would go through, all of the details are here, and that's where it's really great to have your your agent to help you. So someone like Eduardo can help to go through all of the details.
Yeah, exactly. That was what I was going to talk about right now. That we help the student make all of the arrangements they might need for the quarantine, help them out with tips on the transportation, everything. So that's part of our job as an agency, and that's an advantage of booking through an agency. That you get all of this help. We help you. We give you tips. We see the best options for you.
Oh,
and something very important, we also help you choose the best Because it's not the same thing. And sometimes it happens with us, and I'm sure it happens with you as well, that you get somebody that wants to study a specific thing, and once you talk to them, you say, no, well, look, I think this would be better for you, and you convince them to do something else that matches their goals.
And honestly, now more than ever, having the agency behind you to help with all this planning is so important. You know, if you don't have that extra help, navigating through all of the extra things can be really difficult. But when you have an agency who knows what they're doing, like these guys, you know, they're all pros, so they're going to help you walk through all of that extra stuff. So really, you just need to decide, hey, which program do I want to do? The other thing that we do is we also have an interview with every student before they come to make sure, okay, are you the right fit? Do you understand how everything works? So we work hand in hand with the agency to really make sure that you're in the right program for you.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a very important thing. That's something that's your job as an agency, to look for the best program for you, and also to keep you up to date on all of the requirements, because it happens. We send students every week to Canada, to other countries, so we're always up to date on all of the requirements, the restrictions. And for example, that 3-day hotel quarantine is supposed to end at the end of the month. We don't know if they're going to extend it, so we're always up to date on all of the requirements, or how the quarantine might be, what process, etc. Yeah.
And super important, because really no one knows what's going to happen the next day. You know, I don't think the Prime Minister of Canada even knows yet what's going to happen. So having an agency that's monitoring everything and can let you know when something changes is really crucial. And does anyone have more questions? Go ahead and type them in the let's just see, does anyone have interested? Does anyone have specific questions about any programs?
Okay, let me see. Let me ask in Spanish to see if anybody else has any other questions. ¿Alguien más tendría una pregunta? Ahorita estábamos platicando con Shelly de, pues, los valores que tiene, pues, buscar tu curso a través de una agencia como nosotros, como Enjoy Languages, sobre todo con la ventaja de que tenemos una gran cantidad de oficinas en distintas partes de México y de Colombia. Entonces eso te puede ayudar mucho, porque a veces nos pasa de que un estudiante viene con una idea de un cierto programa, y a la hora que platicamos, lo asesoramos, nos damos cuenta de que sus planes, su presupuesto, sus metas podrían verse mejor encaminados con algún otro tipo de programa. Entonces ese es nuestro trabajo como una agencia de viajes educativos tan especializada que somos. Y también, pues, otra ventaja de verlo con una agencia es que, pues, nosotros te ayudamos en toda la parte del asesoramiento para la visa, nosotros hacemos el trámite, cómo están las restricciones de viaje, el proceso de cuarentena. Entonces eso ayuda mucho, porque pues realmente hemos aprendido en este último año que todo cambia mucho de una semana a otra vez. Y pues, como decía Shelley, a veces ni el primer ministro de Canadá sabe cuándo van a cambiar las restricciones, porque todo lo van evaluando sobre la marcha, porque no hay antecedentes tal cual por una situación tan específica como la que tenemos ahorita con el COVID. Entonces, aquí tenemos una pregunta. ¿Estando allá es común trabajar en algo relacionado a lo que se está estudiando, o es más fácil en otras áreas? Eso es muy importante. Ahorita le pregunto a Shelly en inglés, y si quieren luego lo repito en español. So, Shelly, did you understand the question? Or?
Yeah, I think so. So is all the work necessarily related to their program, or do they work? Exactly. So I would say in our programs that have a co-op work portion, so marketing and media manager has work co-op, and also mountain sport technician. So in these, there's a requirement to do at least 157 hours of co-op work experience that is related to the program. And for that, we assist our students. But for the general work, like the work that students are doing as soon as they arrive, it's more common to get something in tourism, adventure sport, depending on what their background is, because Whistler is a tourist destination. So we have all the big hotels, we have a lot of adventure tourism companies, restaurants, bars. So I would say it's more common that the students get work doing whatever they have experience or wherever they're interested, and then they'll do a set number of hours related to their program.
Yeah, and that's actually something that's very common, especially because since they've just started the program, well, they can't expect to be hired as an alpine guide, for example, if they just arrived and they haven't even studied.
They're not. Exactly. And the guide programs, you don't become a certified guide after 6 months. Right. These are really just the formation to get you started. But having said that, many of our students that are in our mountain sport technician program, I would say almost all of them do get jobs related to the courses, because these are really hands-on training courses. So they learn to be a bike mechanic, for example. That is a really in-demand job in Whistler. There's probably 20 shops that are ski shops in the winter and bike shops in the summer. They all need bike mechanics. So we have 5 bike mechanic courses. We've had them going since March, April, May, June, and July. Very popular because students know they're going to get a job if they're a bike mechanic. So it depends on the program and what your skills are. What I can say is that even throughout COVID, there are more jobs than people in Whistler. So there's always employers looking for people to work.
Exactly. And with the boom that I would expect that's going to come after restrictions get lifted or reduced, the jobs are going to grow even more, I would guess.
Yeah, that's right, for sure. The jobs, as soon as, in fact, even as soon as the summer opens, and I don't know what the vaccination, how it's rolling out in Mexico, but it's rolling out, starting to roll out pretty quickly in Canada. So as more and more people get vaccinated, the travel is going to open up even more too.
Then that's an advantage that we've also told many of our students that right now, for example, they're finishing the vaccination of 60 and up, 60 years old or older here in Mexico. And in places like Canada, they're already starting with people, with adults, right? As you were telling us.
Yeah, well, it depends. So in certain areas that are considered high importance, you know, for whether it be because Whistler is a tourism area, we got exposed to more people. So there were some more, you know, more cases in young people than in other places. So they decided they're vaccinating everyone. So from starting last week for 2 weeks, every single person in Whistler who wants can get a vaccination, 18 up, age 18 and older.
Okay, that's perfect, Charlie. Well, I think we're at 4 p.m. already, so we're about closing right now. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about Whistler, Whistler Adventure School?
No, just that we, you know, we're ready to welcome people who are interested in our programs, interesting for a change of life, and just contact Enjoy. They'll put you in touch. We can talk about what's the best fit and welcome you over to Whistler.
Okay, that's great, Charlie. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
And keeping us up to date.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.